What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to Everyday Struggle. Nadeska Akademiks and Wayno here.
What's cracking with y'all?
It's good.
Caught a little flat this morning, as a handyman like I am.
Here we go.
I filmed the driver changing the tire. Okay, fuck it.
Yeah,
It's on Snapchat.
Yeah,
Big lies this morning.
Oh man, I was waiting for you to lie about some shit. You can change the tire?
Of course. I used to have a Mazda.
You definitely called AAA. You've never changed
Of course, yeah, because some car it's a little bit too complicated. Like, I'm sorry, it's a little bit too complicated.
Expensive.
I don't change tires.
This guy.
I pay the guy who changed tires.
Oh, man.
Tires, man.
Yo, the hovercraft that this nigga got. Yo, how do you even change it, like the tire in the Cybertruck, the one you got?
I don't know. I haven't had the flat yet. We'll figure it out once it happens.
Wayne, the only person other than, was it Elon Musk who got the Cybertruck? Crazy shit.
Did you guys get to catch any of the Kobe tribute yesterday? I watched some clips. It was too sad for me to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I couldn't watch the whole thing. I haven't watched like none of the clips of Vanessa speaking. I watched Michael Jordan speak. That was really tough. And then watching Shaq, like everybody had like little pieces of humor in there. Mm-hmm. You know, it was very classy, but I didn't watch the whole thing.
Shaq was great, like he always is. He conveys emotion well, but he makes it lighthearted as well. Mm-hmm. Vanessa's, like, her tribute, I think, everyone keeps saying this, and it's very true. Like, she's a very strong woman, really to be coping with this, and she's still in the face of everything, represented. Because obviously, it's a memorial service for the fans and everybody else. Right. Like, she was really strong in, personalizing the relationship she had, of course, with her daughter and her husband. And who else? Michael Jordan. I was impressed by him.
Yeah.
Well, not only the crying.
And he made it lighthearted.
I gotta be honest, like, I've had the opinion of Michael Jordan as a person, as, like, over the years, as just someone who just kind of lacked humanity a bit. And, like, it kind of made him a little bit more, I kind of saw him more as a human then,
Him talking about being Kobe's big brother. I didn't know how close they were, that he was like a...
And just him, like, chiming in on all the like comparisons, how people compared them so much, but they didn't know how close that they were actually, that they actually were. It was a good moment, to just see Michael Jordan speak about Kobe in such a good light,
Yeah, I was a little bit, even though, while he was alive, they weren't the closest. I didn't see his family, like his dad, who was in attendance, or like even his sister, like get up and speak, but who knows? Yeah,
that's tough. It's probably pretty tough to do.
Yeah. Sad, but it was a really nice celebration of his life.
Right.
From what I watched. Much love to the Bryant family, and of course, rest in peace to a legend. And since it is the last week of Black History Month, we want to continue honoring some other legends here as well. We're going to start with Wayno.
Yes, all my picks have been pretty, like, unconventional.
Wayno tried to make an extremely controversial Black History Month pick that
He was trying to pick Shotty from Treyway.
Don't even say that. Don't even say that.
I did make a couple of picks that might have been a little left field, but I just want new stories told. That's all. But no, I picked Aaron McGruder. Aaron McGruder, the creator of the Boondocks. He also is a lecturer, a writer, a producer. He won a NAACP Image Award in 2011. But the reason why I picked Aaron McGruder is because myself, when I was a kid, I used to draw, and I always wanted to be an animator. And to see, him start the Boondocks as a comic strip and then turn it into something that we kind of use to gauge life. Like, we use comedy a lot to have uncomfortable conversations. And with him to do it with cartoons and do it so legendary, he's had everybody from like Lil Wayne to, John Witherspoon, who was on the show, Regina King. Tons of people collaborated with CeeLo Green. I just think that as a young Black animator, and for all the other things that he does, he needs to be appreciated. So salute to Aaron McGruder.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Boondocks, because, it's been a few years now, definitely recommend going back to watch it. Like, incredible writing, such a funny and smart show, and so much of it still resonates now. It's crazy.
It's coming back, too.
Satire is at its best. I don't know if he's going to be involved when it comes back.
I believe so.
It will?
Yeah, they said that they worked out a deal. It's supposed to be with HBO Now, like some new streaming service that HBO's doing.
Okay.
Yeah, or HBO Max, I'm sorry. HBO Max, that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Akademiks, who's your pick? I know you were looking for someone Jamaican. Thought you were going to pick
It's
Usain Bolt, and what happened?
Buju Banton,
It's going to be him or Beanie,
Shaba.
you know what I mean? It's going to probably,
I'm surprised no Vibes Cartel.
Well, he is in.
He can't do that right now.
He's in prison right now for murder. You know what I mean? Even though, but honestly, I went with Muhammad Ali. As we just recognized a great athlete, Kobe Bryant, and his passing. realize, sometimes how influential athletes are beyond just the field of play, like whether they're on the court or they're on the field. Like there's been a lot of athletes, and I think even now you see athletes utilizing their platform to an extreme level to speak up for injustices and just oppressions that happen throughout the world. Notably, we could see examples with, of course, LeBron James and, of course, Colin Kaepernick. So when you think about that, I think there was a time that, and this is where I guess some of the disdain for like even MJ came from for me for a while. I never really even rocked Jordans because of that. Is that I felt like he lacked some of the responsibility to his community when he did get a platform through his excellent play, and he just kind of said, you know what, I'm just here to entertain and I'm just here to make money and just feed into this capitalist culture and just sell sneakers. I don't really think I got to like fight certain battles. And when you think about all that, someone like Muhammad Ali comes to mind. Someone who, if in reality and you look back at his career, like he was down to give up his passion and give up all the success he had if he couldn't be represented the right way and his people couldn't be represented the right way as well. So, when you see someone like that, again, of course he was, if not, he is the best boxer of all time. You get me? Him and Floyd, that's all I think about, honestly.
You think about Mike Tyson?
I don't have Mike in that realm, I think Mike may have been the most dominant for a time period, but I don't have him as the best boxer. But Muhammad Ali, again, as impressive as his career was, I am more impressed by some of the stances he took outside of, the boxing ring.
Right.
Whether, like he really went through a spiritual journey, got into his faith, changed his name. And to be honest, he resented how certain things was happening, occurring at that point in America. And he was down to stand for it. We don't see that a lot of times.
Right.
A lot of times, it's the power of the dollar, man. Like, a lot of people, it's cool, they want you to do it, but they don't do it themselves.
Right.
So when you see somebody at that high of a level, at that powerful stature, and also that pivoting point in like American history, like make choices like he did, absolutely why I got to pick him.
Yeah. Sacrifice is freedom.
Of course.
Yeah. So my pick is Nina Simone, someone who also sort of sacrificed some of her career just to take a stand on bigger issues. So even if you guys don't know her songs, you've definitely heard her. She's been sampled a lot by artists like Jay and Kanye, even on Watch the Throne, on 444. Jay uses snippets of her voice. So
Strange Fruit, I love that.
Yeah, it's incredible. So like over the course of her career, she's probably released over 40 albums in classical music, jazz. She started playing piano when she was 4 years old. Incredible artist. So she had a lot of early mainstream success, but she was living during the civil rights period. There was a bombing of a black church in the early 60s, and that really shifted her trajectory. So she started making protest records like Mississippi Goddamn, which I think radio stations would actually crack the records in half, they said, and send it back to her. So that really hurt her career, and she was very, what did she tell Dr. King? She said, I'm not nonviolent. Some people would have considered her extreme, and but she took a stance for what she believed in. She had mental health issues. She went through a lot, you know what I mean? I think artists go through a lot of things, and nothing was hidden. You sort of saw everything laid out and laid bare. And she said one quote that really stuck with me. You can check out her documentary on Netflix if you want to know more. She said, I think that the artists who don't get involved in preaching messages probably are happier, but you see, you have to live with Nina, and that is very difficult. So sort of back to Muhammad Ali making this decision to like really make a stand, knowing that it could hurt your career. So she was controversial in some ways, but an incredible artist and a musician, and like you hear her impact to this day. So salute to Miss Nina Simone.
Great picture.
Proud of y'all, man. Proud of y'all, man. Yeah, finally proud of y'all blackness for once.
Finally proud of y'all blackness.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Akademiks.
Wow, Akademiks.
All right, so now we're going to move on to artists complaining about the current state of music. Apparently everyone has feelings about this right now, especially Lil Baby and Swae Lee. So over the weekend, Lil Baby got on Twitter to express his frustration, saying every time dudes drop, it'd be some kind of bullshit. Swae Lee also hopped on Instagram story as well to add, it's time for a music revival. Just wait on it. I'm not letting y'all get used to Degular. I think we all waited long enough. And Meek expressed similar sentiments in a tweet yesterday, saying this year whack music will perish. That's very optimistic. And we do have a fan question about this. I feel like the quality of rap has been getting worse because the rappers who get the most attention now are just in it for the money and quick fame. Do you think it's the media's fault for highlighting so many whack rappers, or is it more because whack rappers co-sign other whack rappers?
No, no. All right, I have a problem with all of this, right?
Okay.
Because I think fans, they always champion who's better than who, right? It's like there's always been whack niggas. Like, niggas ain't just start getting whack in the last 10 years. And artists have always complained about whack rappers or whack artists since rap became a thing, right? So this resurgence of music, what does that even mean? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I see Swae Lee. I went to Post Malone's tour. Swae Lee was opening for him. They did fucking Swae Lee. It was crazy how many hits they had, because a lot of people thought that Ray Shrem would be one hit wonders, and Swae Lee could hold a stage on his own. And then he came back out on Post Malone's set, and they did Sunflower and all that. So where's all this? Where's this music resurgence? Like, where's this thing? Where's this music that's missing that we're not getting? I think that the problem is that if a nigga feel like something is whack, they just want to complain about that instead of just doing their own thing. Niggas being whack ain't stopping none of these niggas from getting money. It's not stopping nobody from putting nothing out. I don't think that anybody who puts out whack shit is over any of the people that's mentioned, like a Swae Lee, a Meek, or a Lil Baby. I don't understand.
You know, so it's not just them. So for Big Facts or BS, we were also going to talk about this, but we could group it in as the same. Metro Boomin also said something similar. He's like, I'm hearing new music all the time and just be sitting like people either don't really care anymore or I'm just getting old.
Real quick, one more last thing I want to say. We have to start identifying who niggas is.
Producer Metro Boomin.
No, not producer. I'm talking about niggas, because that's the word that they keep using.
Who are the whack artists?
Niggas this, niggas that. Just start saying that niggas is whack, because that's what people did in the 90s and early 2000s. They would just call people out. That shit is trash. But if you say that something's trash, that's considered hating. But then you have the right to have opinion. But
is it that we're just hearing the quote-unquote more trash music more than we ever did just because streaming makes it more accessible?
I don't know, because the top records, me and Ak was just going over some of the top records in the country, right? Before we got on, and like, the Box is #1. Out of everything, Life is Good is #2. All other records that's mixed into like pop records and shit, but I don't know. Okay. I mean, whack music has always existed. I think that the reason why whack music always gets this nod is because niggas is always complaining about it instead of just doing them.
So making better music. Pastor Ak?
So, a couple of, well, I disagree with all these things. All of them, in totality.
Okay.
So, first of all, we have to define what whack music is. I do believe whack music and good music is super subjective. You get me? What might be whack to someone else is good to someone else. And even if then, like, are we talking about whack music that perform well? Like, I just can't identify who they're talking about. The only thing I could lump up from everybody, and who are we talking about? Metro Boomin, we're talking about Meek, we're talking about who else?
Lil Baby,
Swae Lee. And Swae Lee. All of them about to put out projects. Baby project's coming this Friday. Meek project's probably coming in a couple months. Who else? Swae Lee's project is, Swae Lee or Ray Shremmer, next project, Shrem Life 3, is it? Coming shortly, and Metro Boomin has been hinting that he got something on the way as well. I think that's the way of rappers just saying, everybody's whack but me. Like, that's really what it is, because we can't even identify what the whack shit is. Okay. You know, it's like, all right, like, definitively, we're talking here because they're not gonna call names.
Okay.
But we gotta go back 2 years now, because I just can't even find a record that people would now, like, it has to be performing somewhat for you to be just saying whack music is happening.
Well, do you think that's just it, performing? Because I think that this shit that's whack that exists that don't perform well.
But then should it matter to them? Because in
okay, all right.
I think it all matters because it's just all part of the conversation for the most part.
Okay, great. So let's try to identify the whack shit, because I would say, like, if we went back 3 years ago, people would say, yeah, this record is like #1 or performing really well, but people thought like Gucci Gang by Lil Pump was whack, right? And that was like, people like, okay, that's a whack record, but it still goes, right? I just can't identify now what the whack record is. Like, what whack record are these niggas talking about?
I don't think it's specifically a record.
And what whack artist? One thing I'll say in totality, what Meek said, and you know, he kind of, if y'all could go back to what he said, I think he said, this is the year whack music will perish.
Yeah.
I've said this, and y'all have heard me say this like for a couple months on the show. 2020 is the year that we get out a lot of the gimmick rappers. There's 2018, we got like probably one of the last waves of like rappers who were doing like a lot of bullshit, but they were having these viral moments, and their Instagram platforms or Instagram followers was pushing a lot of stuff. And to be honest, we're 2 years later, or if they came out in 2017, we're 3 years later. And now it's just time. Like, if you don't come with good music, it's over. Me, I'm not gonna be like them. I'll drop names. If Smoke Perp don't come with some hot shit, it's over. That's facts.
Okay.
Like, we got to be like very clear. His last project just dropped, and to be honest, even though I like him as a person, did not perform well. I've seen some of the stuff he did virally or like on social media that used to work, didn't work. Lil Pump, I fuck with him as well. But if he don't come with some good shit musically, might be looking very spooky this year again.
Okay.
We saw he's putting out or he's previewing another Spanish song. Looked like he might even be making a shift away from English music. Okay? Again, because it's all about the music performing. It's about music performing for a lot of these dudes. And if you came out 2 years ago, like if you only had that one hit and you didn't really keep that consistency, or maybe you were just a one-hit wonder, or you're just a gimmick rapper, 2020 is where you get exposed because all y'all are almost expected to put out projects and they're not going to perform without it being good music.
Well, you know what? I won't negate the fact that there's niggas that's trash. I just think that like we just pay too much attention to it. Like it's too much attention put onto it. It's like y'all don't see this whack shit over here. Like
that's why I was confused. There's none of the whack shit.
Yeah, you're right. Because if you look at the charts, I'm not Billboard Pro. I can't log in. It's like the Baby, it's Future and Drake. You said it's Roddy,
the Hot 100,
it's
like
Boogie, it's you know what I mean.
It's a lot of music that I don't think.
It's people who are really rapping.
Yeah, it's a lot of music that we would probably say these are good songs.
Well, yeah. Well, well, we'll see, man. This shit just
I
annoys
do
me
think
sometimes.
this year we're gonna see the mortality of rappers.
A lot of rappers. I just don't think that whack rap or trash niggas that's trash or niggas that's mediocre. Let me not say trash. I say mediocre. That's like the standard is set so low. Like I feel like, all right, you don't have to be a really good rapper to make money in rap. That's why the standard is set so low. But like that shouldn't stop you from wanting to be good at rapping if that's what you really into. You know,
I'm telling you, this year is the mortality for a lot of rappers. And I don't even necessarily think because I keep saying being whack and being good is subjective.
Okay.
You feel me? Like, I might listen to some Vic Mensa songs and say it's whack, and somebody else might be like, that's just fire. You get me? Like, it's really subjective. I might listen to the trash can called Young Bands and be like, this is garbage. But a lot of people, they hit me up. Somebody stop me in traffic like, this is fire. And again, it's subjectivity. I get it. I just think that we're just seeing the mortality of rappers. I'm telling you, I got a list of names. And all these guys I like, I've either been cool with, I'm in communication with, and I don't necessarily think they're whack because at one point I thought their music was really knocking. Whether it's Blueface, YB in the Mirror, Lil Pump, Smoke Perp, there's a bunch more names. I could probably give you about 10 more. And this is a year, it's gut check time. We're probably gonna put you on the clock if you ain't putting nothing out. Or if it doesn't hit. But a lot of those rappers who relied off gimmicks, I think that's what I'm more connected with.
Do you think Uzi falls into this fold?
No, not yet. Not yet. Again, until he actually...
Well, on the clock, you don't think he's on the clock?
No, until he puts out like a real offering that doesn't perform. Like he's like double dutching. Like he puts out a single.
But it's almost 3 years since he put out an album.
But when you cloak and disguise what's going on with saying, yo, I have label issues, I'm like almost in depression, like the fans give you a pass. It's when you legit
that was 2 years ago.
Okay.
That whole label shit it started in 2018.
But we have seen for many artists, that's how they kind of distract the fans and keep the fans on their side. Because, you know, fans like when we think everything is cool, we expect music. We usually hear the I'm depressed shit or my label got me in some fucked up situation. And that's usually the excuse of, listen, man, I don't know what's going on right now musically.
Okay. Hey, sometimes the label stuff is real, though. We'll see. On the topic of doing everything distracting, one big factor.
Wait, I was going to call out no whack rappers. Is this me?
Now, you really came with the list ready today.
Nah, I gotta, like, I really be confused by these things because I do think as a producer, Metro probably produces for a couple of the niggas. You don't think so?
I don't know about that. Metro's in a place where he don't have to do shit for anybody that he don't want.
All right, but maybe in the past.
No, I think
I don't even think so of that either. Metro been up for a minute.
So who are these whack niggas? We're in a talk show.
I think you made the point though. It doesn't feel like the people at the moment who are doing well. Maybe Meek Mandela's right. The whack music's gonna perish. But for the past 2 years, the people that you named, that make sense. It makes sense.
But I think that's only like a handful. There's so many. The thing is that he could be talking about artists that's like about to come out or artists that we're seeing come up. Like, I don't think that is one way to gauge it, but everybody has standards for what they feel about is good or bad, you know?
He just wants some more names.
Yeah, he wants names.
Yeah, no, I'm really just curious to see like what people are talking about, like in terms of whack music.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think, honestly, everyone is hypnotized by the first quarter slump, which always happens.
Right.
Like, of course, the heavy hitters ain't dropped yet. So, of course, you think it's all whack shit.
But this is what I'm saying.
We want Rihanna, we want Kendrick, we want Drake, we want J. Cole.
Show me one year where niggas was still dropping music. I'm pretty sure, like, in 2014, niggas was saying the same thing. 2015, like, people always say the same thing. Yo, man, real niggas is gonna make a comeback this year. We gonna get all these little niggas up out of here. The real niggas we the last real niggas alive. Like, no, for real, like.
Yo, unless we could identify, sometimes we gotta tell them niggas, like, yo, you're wrong. Like, bro, we're having Youngboy having one of the best runs we've seen in a long time. Yeah. Rod Wave just came out of the blue. Like, Roddy Ricch just dropped a spectacular project. A Boogie, like, where's the whack music? I'm looking for the whack music now. I'm trying to find the whack music.
I mean, it's definitely, we're not going to list all that and say that it's definitely whack music out there, but I'm not even listening to it. I don't know, like, I'm at a point now. No, it's not even, I got names. I'm at a point now where it's like, all right, radio used to dictate how I heard music. Now I can pick what I want to listen to. If I don't like the way a nigga looks, sometimes I'm not listening to their music, like, straight up.
But the radio's not even that bad right now, that's the thing. The songs they play over and over, it's actually shit I want to hear for once.
Yo,
a year and a half ago, things were looking a little dicey.
It's looking a little dicey?
Looking pretty good right now, though.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, I really...
All right, we gotta make a list of top 50 whack niggas right now.
We don't need to do that.
Why can't we? Top 10 whack niggas right now. We could make a list.
Top 10 whack niggas right now?
We ain't gotta do it right now, but we gonna do it.
I want to hear Wayno list. I'll get a list. I don't give a fuck. I'll get a list. I want to hear Wayno's list.
Okay, they gonna want to fight. It's cool.
One big facts or BS. This one is courtesy of Freddie Gibbs. He says, "You know you're trash when your label's got you doing everything other than rapping." Skinny shook.
I say big facts to that.
Does the label put a lot of pressure on you to do all the extra things?
No, but I feel like you do need to do extra things too if you are a rapper. Like, I think rap, your talent. I feel like entertainment is only 10%. Well, rap is only 10% of your talent. It's all the other shit that makes you a bigger artist. And I mean, for like I said, Freddie Gibbs has a different standard for how he does shit. He's a rapper's rapper, unapologetically. That nigga he pays his bills rapping at all times. He's not the guy you see doing fucking Champs campaigns or Foot Locker campaigns and shit. You know what I mean? While I'm pretty sure he might like to do something like that, that just might not be his thing. So I'm not knocking at people for doing other shit, but it is people that's doing all types of other shit other than rapping.
Yeah, I disagree with the statement wholeheartedly. Is this big facts or BS?
Yeah.
Yeah, why's that?
I'm just saying BS because honestly, I don't think that means you're trash. Like, if you're doing everything but rapping, doesn't mean you're trash. Because if we're saying that, if that means you're trash, then because if a label has you doing everything but music, I believe they believe you're making more money doing other things other than music. It's a business. So as someone like Freddie Gibbs, a lyricist, a lot of people who are super lyricists, like, they don't sell shit. You know what I mean? Like, if the label had a choice of putting them in fucking commercials, they would be like, nigga, stop rapping. We don't give a fuck if you're a lyricist.
But shouldn't
Go
it
make us some
be
money.
and rapping, not but rapping? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything and rapping, not everything but rapping.
Like, doing shit and rapping is different than
just literally doing shit and
like,
not
where's the
rapping
album, my nigga? Like, you just...
I mean, sometimes there's a lot of different paths to success. We've seen, like, even rappers we've liked, they've got on, like, either a TV show, and that gave them more visibility to give them a better platform to push the music. But again, not because the music's not working. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these dudes, like, I see, like, the label strategy. If they feel like chicks like you, they start doing different things with you to get the chick audience somehow to hopefully sneak the music in. Again, doesn't mean the music's trash. You get me? It just means that, listen, that's their way of trying to market you. Another rapper comes to my mind. I'm calling out names today.
You know, niggas just gotta start dissing niggas in songs again, not tweets. No, for real, because
okay, you're sick of these tweets.
Yeah, because when artists didn't like other artists, they just would diss them in a song. Like nobody.
I was here guessing, man. He's probably talking about some local ass nigga, bro. Like,
yeah, but I'm not just saying just the Freddie Gibbs. I'm just saying, like, one day I just went down a wormhole of, like, old battles from, like, 2001 up until, like, 2010, and, like, everybody was just saying shit on song. Like, it wasn't fucking Instagram videos with niggas be like, man, you fuck niggas, and you don't. Who's niggas? That's what I want to know is who's the team of niggas that the niggas is talking about. It's like niggas is the new they. You know how they say they don't want you or they? Niggas is the new they. No, serious, you don't think so?
When I first saw this, I instantly thought of And again, this is one of my homies too, but yeah, I gotta just keep it 100. I don't really care. YB and Almighty J. I see him doing a lot of things. I don't see him rapping a lot. And I see him doing some reality, I see him on like Fox Soul with Keisha Cole talking about that. I see him on Shade Room Teens.
But you know what the thing about Almighty J is? We're not looking to him to rap. Like, I'm not looking for him to rap. Though. But I'm not looking.
But isn't that the point Freddie Gibbs is trying to make here?
Yeah, like
so it's rapping, not but rapping.
But I just like, so look, I expect a certain standard of rapping from a Freddie Gibbs, from a Pusha T, from a Meek Mill, from a Drake even, from a Kendrick, a Ab-Soul, a Reason. I expect these niggas to rap, right? These niggas, I'm not looking for rapping out of them. Like, first off, I'm more fans of like their personality. I think that's the thing that we're not bringing up as well. Some of these artists, we're just bigger fans of their personality than their actual music.
But did, or maybe you interpreted it differently. When I read his tweet, it wasn't like, oh, you know you're like, again, he's saying you're trash. So I'm guessing he's not talking about you're at some high standard of rapping. Yeah. You're just a musician. So you're saying you're just not putting out music.
Call these niggas musicians no more.
Why? You're not putting out music at all.
I think
you're doing other things.
Rap is
which like Almighty J kind of fits into that a little bit.
Rap is just one big reality show now. Like, for real, the shit is just a big reality show. I don't even be looking at these niggas as musicians. I think that if you go in the studio and you might rap over a few beats, that's cool, but that doesn't make you a musician. Like, that doesn't, a musician is a person that I think has love for music, that cares about their craft, that cares about everything from the fucking hi-hats and the snares to how they delivering their bars.
Kendrick a musician?
Huh?
Kendrick a musician to you?
Absolutely. But I look at Future as a musician as well.
Is Lil Baby a musician?
Yeah, I think Lil Baby's a musician because I think that Lil Baby cares about what he says. I think he cares about how he says it. That's why he's good at rapping.
Even though some of the content
I'm not even tripping over the content.
That's just like, he does the cam shit. Like, yo, this is just my hustle to get to the bag.
Well, Lil Baby, I think that like when it comes to terms of musicians, I'm not even worried about the content because niggas been rapping about all types of crazy shit forever. NWA was rapping about a real perspective from the streets, but they also had a lot of songs that were just talking about menacing. They had a lot of songs just talking about reckless shit. So did the Locks. I don't look at them as less of a musician.
Yeah, are you trying to say that the content affects that?
I think if you don't have nothing to say,
no,
like
honestly, I look at all these guys as musicians.
All of them as musicians?
If in that context, like, again.
No, but you didn't name any examples that are not real musicians.
No, that's what I'm trying to get him, because I think they're all. So
yeah,
I would say,
what about musicians?
What about Youngboy? Is he a musician to you?
Yeah, to an extent, absolutely. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the reason why the people that I'm calling musicians are the ones that I think are good at making music, right? I think that Youngboy is good at making music. I think that, who else did you bring up? Kendrick. He's good at making music. I think Future's good at making music. I think Lil Baby is good at making music. Like, as a musician, I look at a person like, not only, you could tell in their interview, you interview people all the time, when they're talking about how they created the record. Yo, I spent time on this. I look at G Herbo as a musician. Right. There's so many people I look at as musicians, but it's a lot of people that I just look at as fucking reality stars that try to get popping socially that make a song here and there.
Who would you consider, if you would call a name?
Not a musician?
Yeah, not a musician.
I think some of the people you probably spoke about previously, like the ones you're saying that we always see on Shade Room, but they're not putting out music.
I just feel like they're. Oh, I thought you were talking about the people who this year they got to put out music.
The people we see everywhere else, but they're not putting out music. How would you consider?
Okay, so like Safari,
I don't look at Safari as a musician.
That was a wild example.
That is a wild example, but at the same time, like, I don't really look at.
I look at everybody who's full-time rapping as a musician.
I don't look at. I look at Safari as like a reality star that he might like. It like music is just a hustle within what he's doing.
Lil Nas X.
I think Lil Nas X is a musician.
I'm trying to see who's not.
I don't think these are the examples that he's going to say no to, though.
I think that he's.
I just don't want to be negative and start naming.
The first time when we heard Old Town Road, remember, like, this before it blew up, and he was like, yo, go to the nigga SoundCloud. And I listened to a lot of his other songs. They didn't sound like he was putting effort into those songs, like he just was rapping, however. But I think when he started making songs like Rodeo and Panini, that showed range as a musician.
Blueface.
I don't look at Blueface as a musician. I think that he's
I do.
I think that Blueface, now, do I think that he doesn't like rapping? I don't think that he puts like a supreme effort into rapping, but I think that he does like what he's doing, but I don't look at him as a musician. I don't think that Blueface is the nigga that, and I could be wrong, but I don't look at Blueface as the nigga that's like calling the producer like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, I think we should add another bridge and do some post-production on this record.
I don't think most of them rappers do that though.
A lot of them do.
I'm sure a lot of them do, especially
The
the
ones we just
first
named?
list.
I looked at Pop Smoke as a musician. No, regardless.
You don't think Kendrick does that?
Okay.
You don't think Lil Baby does that?
No.
Really?
No, I think he's really good at putting words together. I think Blueface, whether he's on beat or not, he tries to put clever bars. He's not gonna be the person who has a flow like Lil Baby, but he tries to put words together, put some effort into that. And honestly, that's as much I think those guys do, unless someone tells me otherwise about their process.
Well, there's I think it's a difference between like a person just having the title as musician as a professional thing and actually putting work into being a musician.
Would you be okay with separating them into rappers and musicians?
Blueface did himself say on his Instagram, when talking about Lil Duval, he said he's a professional musician. That's what he said.
That he is, or Lil Duval?
He did say
he
that.
is.
He's a
He did say that.
professional.
Because he said that
as
Lil
opposed
Duval
to
was a
whatever.
comedian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's a very thin line, you know, like how involved some people are into the process. But I don't know. Like, as far as Freddie Gibbs' tweet though, I do look at that and say, what was the tweet? He said people are doing other things than rapping. I think that's marketing. You get me? Again,
Marketing for what though?
I think we should move on, but I think the but there is really interesting. Important.
It's marketing.
Rapping a little bit and doing a lot of things. Anyway, side note, I know Freddie Gibbs is like a musician, but you got to do TV one day. Too smart and funny not to do that. He would make amazing TV, even if he's just writing.
Right.
And come on the show. You're supposed to come on the show for weeks now. Let's talk about some actual music. So Youngboy NBA dropped his latest project last Friday. It's called Still Flexin, Still Steppin. This is the follow-up to his 2019 project, AI Youngboy 2. 14 songs, one single feature from Quando Rondo. And before the album drop, we got a couple singles, including Bad Bad, Knocked Off, and Fine by Time. Ak, we know you're a huge fan. What'd you think of this?
Yeah, I think Youngboy is just on a real organic run. You know, he's putting out music at a pace that usually, you know, critics like, quote unquote, us usually don't like. But like, honestly, his music's connected. Off this joint right here, that little top record is going crazy right now. I just honestly, I enjoy how he, in a very, you know, like raw and authentic way, like he's telling his story and he also exposes like his pain and trauma that he's been through. And again, it just reminds me of someone who's been in the industry for a while, but still like when you hear the music, like it just seems like it's his debut constantly. Like, and I got that feel. I remember when Chief Keef first came in, I was like, yo, this is so raw and authentic and sometimes a little bit unpolished, that you just believe it. Mm-hmm. I feel the same way about Kodak Black. I feel like him and Kodak Black, when it comes to the younger street rappers, if we're calling them that, I feel like their influence and the music they're putting out, especially Youngboy, who somehow just rules YouTube. Like, he's been the #1 artist on YouTube. Like, they actually have a chart on who does the most streams each week. He's been the #1 artist like 50 weeks out of like 52 for the last like year and a half. So, you know, congratulations to him on this album. I thought it was pretty good.
So one fan wants to know, he says, with Youngboy putting up strong numbers independently, does he really need a record label to be behind him? I feel like he's one of those artists who can go it indie with no help.
Man, he dropped that shit on the label. They just changed the metadata. So, you know what? I'm just, because we get all these fan questions about like their favorite artists and how they drop shit. All your favorite artists assigned to labels. They keep preaching all this independent shit to you, saying how they doing it on their own. They don't have no back end. They ain't got no cosigns. These niggas is all signed to labels. They're finessing the fans. Straight up and down. As a fan, you're being finessed. When I was a kid, and that you want to know why? Because the consumer is so fucking nosy. They care so much about the consumer nowadays lets the numbers dictate how they listen to the music, not just listening to music. When I was a kid, I didn't know what the fuck platinum or gold really meant. I knew it was a thing, but that wasn't making me determine if I liked the music or not. I really feel like kids, and I see it all the time, like, they argue back and forth about first week numbers and not the actual music of the songs. And these artists are finessing y'all. Like, they want to make it look like they are.
Is it a bad thing?
Huh?
Is it a bad thing?
I think it's a bad thing for the up and coming artists, because the ones who don't know what's going on, because they look they're looking at their artists, their favorite artists, and saying, I'm gonna follow that path. I'm gonna be just as independent as you. I'm gonna do this on my own, and that's not what's happening. You know, anytime you see any of these records that's coming out on these platforms, on the DSPs, which is, you know, digital streaming platform services, whenever you see these things coming out, there's clearances involved. These mixtapes is albums. They spending the same money. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is like these fans, when they walk into the meetings, they're basing how they handle themselves in meetings off of what they think they know, which they don't really know shit.
Let me just add this one question, since you already mentioned it already. We could loop it all in. So the other question was, say for instance, an artist signs to a major label, records a shitload of music, and decides he wants to put out a mixtape before the actual album. Does the label need to approve this before release? Does the label have a right to tell the artist to remove certain songs from mixtapes to include on the album? And maybe, I don't know if it's worth differentiating if they drop it on like an Apple Music or a Spotify, or it just comes out on like a SoundCloud or one of the other mixtapes sites.
So a label, you can, if you're an artist like an NBA Youngboy, you can't do that. You wanna know why? Because they know it's a piece of product that sells. If they know it's some shit that's gonna get you hot, they gonna only let you put it out on YouTube and SoundCloud because they're not monetizing that. But if they know that it, like NBA Youngboy can't put out a mixtape that ain't cleared, that samples ain't cleared, that producers ain't paid for beats, because he's a high selling artist. Yeah, I mean, like you have the opportunity if you're trying to get hot, depending on what label you sign to. But for the most part, you can't put out shit. It goes into your terms. I mean, and that's the part where I feel like that's the bad part of it, because the up and coming artist that kind of wants to sign to a label, but says, yo, I'm looking at that artist and like he's doing this shit on his own, him and his team. They don't know that the team they in a deal. All of them are in deals.
A lot of points to debate here. I'm gonna try to unpack everything you said. First of all, Youngboy signed to APG, which is like they have a partnership or
Atlantic,
subsidiary of Atlantic.
Right.
This is definitely through Atlantic, whether if they stayed on it or not. And of course, it is to dupe the fans a bit, or you know what I mean. Shoot, maybe it wasn't to dupe the fans, and fans would be quote unquote nosy, because some of these things, like they're not like labels and stuff like that. These aren't front facing things for like fans to see. You know what I mean? There's fans doing a lot of digging. Him putting out the project like this, I don't have a problem with it. But as Wayno said, it is kind of like, you know, it gives a bad example to new artists. I do believe that, but I'm all about the same energy, because mad artists have done this.
Yeah.
And, you know, people were super critical of Chance when Chance was like, yo, oh yeah, independent artists, like y'all should just upload your shit to TuneCore and just get lit like me, and you'll be on the cover of like Apple Music, and you'll get like a $500,000 deal with them to release your music a couple days early, and you could do it. And it sounds great, you know what I mean? It just sounds amazing, but you know, that's not how the music industry works. And even if you think you're playing the lottery with putting up music, it just doesn't work like that where you're just super indie. And it just works. But we've seen a lot of artists that we do like, kind of, you know, because again, there is a support system for fans. And by the way, as to your point about Youngboy, you know why Youngboy, as I said before, is running YouTube? Youngboy used to put up unauthorized music on YouTube. When he was in jail, he couldn't use social media. And I don't know, I guess they were technically saying that YouTube wasn't social media. He wanted to drop more music, unless this was some like gimmick to drop music, but he would upload like an entire project, and in all the descriptions, he was like, yo, tell Atlantic to put this shit out. They would, of course, rip it down and take it down in like a couple of hours. But fans would know that Youngboy, who loves to drop music incessantly, was like, yo, he's gonna be dropping there. That's why to this day, his numbers on YouTube are way better than his numbers on Spotify and Apple Music, which is not normal for any artist except him. So he kind of went against the grain with that. But I will say, I was surprised when I heard, you know, and God Bless the Dead, I heard Nipsey was signed to Atlantic for like a year or so before he announced it. And he dropped the project, which the fans thought was independent. You know, we gave it a lot of props because of how it, you know, it was really uniquely put out. But the success of that project or really everything that came with it, we didn't attribute it to a label, because we said, yo, that's just him doing it on his own. So like, we have seen this before. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I remember when Russ signed to Columbia, and you know, again, Russ is such a polarizing figure, but I usually agree with a lot of stuff he says he made it a point to let people know. He said, yo, just letting y'all know, I got a label deal now, or a record deal on a label. And he was like, all my shit before, I didn't have no help, and I was doing it on my own through TuneCore.
Right. I'm
now on Columbia, and that's where is Where's the Wolf? I believe that's that.
Yeah.
He's like, I now have a label. I didn't have a label situation. He said, I want to be honest with y'all because I don't want y'all to find out later and think I'm lying. I think when fans find out, they feel like they were duped.
Right. So you're keeping the same energy, me just being transparent.
Yeah.
You don't have to lie about not having it.
I think the thing with Nipsey is because he created a brand for himself. You know what I mean? Like he created a brand for himself that people wanted to show support for. And you know, regardless to him passing away, because of course, you know, after he passed, then his numbers went even bigger and all of that. He put out a great body of work. So that's my biggest thing is that the fans got to support the body of work or support the music more than you worried about who they signed to. Who they signed to really don't matter. What really matters is how you fuck with the music. So when you're debating your favorite artist and you talking about music this one makes as opposed to music this one makes, don't start bringing up, but this nigga sell more than him. Right. Like that's the only thing I don't want to hear. Like I would rather hear more centered on the music. I will say one last thing in closing. Right. And this is me also giving transparency. Over the last year or two, you know me, I've always been a numbers guy. I went to school for biomathematics. I graduated with that. Like I've always been first week type of shit. Like I talk about numbers. You flopped. You did great. And I've always posted first week numbers. In the last 2 years, I've seen labels more reach out to me to make sure, like, yo, I got all the information because honestly, it affects psychology of fans. Absolutely. Like there's multiple and numerous situations. I could even give you an example of recently. And I've had a conversation, you know, I got my close group of non-industry, just like people, whatever. And no, it's not y'all, just like casuals. I just call it. And A Boogie's album drops, right? And they listen to it the first day, even the second day, and I asked myself, what y'all think? I liked it because I liked a couple songs and I heard it a little bit before. They said, nah, that's just made. About 8 out of 10 people that I'm close with, they were like, it ain't like the joint before, which is hoodie season. They said it's mid. They see the numbers come out that Monday. That said he's gonna do 130,000 the first week. Yo, that shit lit! Oh shit! I kid you not, I promise you. I saw, it's a psychology test, I'm telling you. It immediately switched their brain to say, the shit I thought was okay, maybe I'm just not like on the right train because a lot of people think it's good, it's selling good. And those people all came back and said it was fire. I seen it in my comment section. When I first posted, I said, how y'all think about it? People were like, it's okay. When I posted the sales, they were like, well deserved, this shit's lit. Because you don't want to feel like you're not in the know. Yeah. That's the thing about it. But that shit is whatever.
I mean, all of that said, do you still feel really good about, you know, spending so much energy and time on numbers?
No, absolutely, but the numbers tells me a lot more things now. It's not just only about consumption. It tells me how much labels are spending. It tells me how certain systems and infrastructures that are pushing the music or pushing these bumps are
But you take away
working.
all that information from it, but the average fan probably doesn't, right? It just has the effect you just said. I'm just curious then, if you'll continue to highlight it as much.
Well, that's why I think we have to educate. Like shows like this, when they listen to Wayno Give Insight or me or even you, we're supposed to impart some knowledge to help them decipher and break down what the fuck they're seeing and why they're seeing it, to be honest.
True. Well, after all of that, we were supposed to do your numbers segment, but I think we're good. We could maybe save that for tomorrow. We got to go. But, yo, we appreciate you guys sending your questions. Please send those, more of them, and send some videos for us, 30 seconds or less if you can. We're on Twitter at Everyday Struggle with 2 Gs, and we'll see you here tomorrow on Everyday Struggle.
Peace.